Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be exploring Vishing, what is Vishing, and how Keepnet can help provide Vishing simulations to your employees for your specific needs. I appreciate everyone once again joining today. I see we've got a handful of people in the chat. Just to let you know, if you have any colleagues or friends or anybody who couldn't attend this meeting today that you want to share this with, this meeting is being recorded, so we will be sharing it with you after the webinar is over. And with that as well, if you have any questions or anything along those lines, please put them in the Q&A chat, and we'll be able to address those and follow up via email after the webinar. Perfect. So let's get started. So what is Vishing? I know some of us have probably heard this term before, but simply Vishing is going to be phishing, but over a cellular device, specifically talking on the phone. Typically, this is when threat actors are impersonating somebody from a company, either a help desk or IT department. On a more civilian level, it could be somebody representing a shipping company or a rewards program, trying to get that sensitive information so they can get access to anybody's accounts. The reason why we're talking about this today, 77% of voice scams result in stolen credentials or passwords, as well as other intellectual property or data. So this is a prevalent threat vector that we are facing today. And as I briefly mentioned how Vishing works, basically it's an attacker impersonating a legitimate organization or authority. Usually these attacks come with some sort of sense of urgency, so that way the victim doesn't have as much time to double check the sources or follow up with a secondary person to verify. Usually there's a sense of urgency there to click a link, reset a password, share some sort of financial data, but it's usually under some sort of deadline. And then finally, manipulation, the victim falling for that attack and dealing with the repercussions that come with that. And just some statistics to highlight. Our research shows that in 2022, over 68.4 million Americans had some sort of financial loss due to a Vishing scam. You could see that from the last 4 years in 2018, it's almost gone up about 75% from 2019. So the bad guys are coming in and starting to use this threat vector a lot more frequently. It's generally easier to impersonate someone's voice over the phone these days, it seems like, than writing a suspicious email. And with that, we're going to talk about some of the affected companies. I'm sure we've all in this chat room heard of MGM casinos and Caesars as well. Obviously, this was a massive cybersecurity breach that made headlines due to the popularity of the company that was hit. Obviously, the biggest thing to note here is that this attack started with some attackers targeting MGM, looking for employees that they had just hired on. They found that target through LinkedIn, and they impersonated the MGM IT help desk to get some sensitive information from that new employee. Unfortunately, that victim gave up that information, and it turned into MGM being shut down for 10 days. That means no gaming, hotel rooms, no key cards, full operational shutdown for 10 days, which you can imagine as a casino in Las Vegas was a massive revenue lost. But on top of that too, there was obviously brand image and reputation damage, lost in customer loyalty. I'm sure there was a bunch of upset people trying to check into that hotel the day of and the days following while they were while they were sorting this out. And on top of that too, when MGM went to talk to their insurance providers, they did not have a great answer for why they weren't prepared for these attacks, and ended up paying over $100 million in regulatory fines. And there's other examples of this too. Uber had a breach as well. Just to name another one, Caesars was attacked as well, which is a sister company of MGM Resorts. But as you can see, these attacks do have real catastrophic consequences. And beyond the actual revenue loss, there could be some massive regulatory fines as well. So with that, we're going to talk about our Keepnet solution. What does Keepnet offer in the face of phishing simulations, and how can we help protect your employees and train them to be more aware of these types of attacks? And so with that, I'm going to switch screens and we'll go into the platform itself. I'm going to highlight how to run one of these phishing campaigns and show how quickly that we can launch these out to our employees. And then we'll go into creating our own custom scenarios as well, and what those advanced reports look like, so we can see reputation over a longer period of time and not just by individual campaign. Perfect. Move back up here. Excellent. So I'm sure everyone can see this all right. I'm going to go ahead up to full screen. And yeah, right now we're inside the Keepnet Labs platform. Just some brief information about the Keepnet Labs platform. This is a SaaS run platform, so if you do choose to implement our solution, there's no need to download any hard files or any programs. Getting set up on this solution is pretty seamless and easy to do. We're fully API driven as well, so if you have your own LMS or your own reporting depot, if you will, we are fully API integratable and able to pull data any way that you need be. Excellent. So we're going to jump into our campaign manager here. This is where we would see any previous phishing campaigns launched, as well as where we'd come to launch one of these campaigns. It's pretty straightforward. We'll come here and click New. We'll name our campaign. We'll choose our scheduled start time. So that's going to either be now, we can set it for a later date and time, or for a later time in our preferred time zone. And this is obviously helpful if you want to come in here and set up a handful of these campaigns to launch over a frequency of time. You can come in here, schedule these campaigns out, and have those automatically run, or come back in here and populate them with the employees we want to launch them to when we're ready. But for our case, we're going to hit Send Now. We're going to go ahead and select our templates. Our templates are going to be built out in a series of steps. So as you see here, step 1, step 2, you'll see this highlighted red Vishing step. This is where we are going to consider the end user vished in our reporting. In a typical phishing situation, you're not considered vished just because you answer the phone. It's usually going to be when you give up that sensitive data. So we reflect that in our exercises by breaking these out in a series of steps. And when the end user gets to the second step, this highlighted red vish step, we're considering that sensitive information, this last 4 digits of your ID number. And so once they enter that in, they would be considered successfully vished on our report. You'll see here too that with our number of steps, it says required digits to input. We're not keeping track of any sensitive information when we enter, or that employees or users are entering when they interact with our simulations here. The best way to prove this is, it says right here, required digits to input. We're asking for, in this case, your 4-digit ID number, but technically the end user could put in 4 random digits and they would still be considered phished because they entered in the correct number of digits instead of just the actual data, or instead of the incorrect number of digits. And that's what allows them to move to the next step. We'll come down here, just grab another example. Excellent. So we'll come in and we'll select our template that we want to use. I think for our case, we'll just grab this insurance policy renewal. And then with this as well, we're able to preview any of these AI voice recordings as well. In fact, that's something I forgot to mention. We do partner with the Amazon Poly AI to give us a plethora of AI voices to use. These steps are text to speech, so they'll be able to, what's unique about that is it's very easy to create your own custom templates. We'll jump into that here in a little bit, but these are going to be narrated by the AI here. And just to play a brief clip, you should all be able to hear.
Dial the last 3 digits of your ID number.
There we go. So we'll select our template. We'll go ahead and click next. We'll select the groups that we want to launch this simulation out to. One thing to note is we are fully SCIM integratable, Azure, Okta, just to name a few, but we haven't found a SCIM provider that we've had issues with integrating with. So these target groups here, I've manually created, but we can also populate these via SCIM integration. We could utilize LDOP directory as well. And then finally, if your engagements are a little bit smaller, or if this applies to your use case, we do offer manual or CSV file upload. So you could take a file of your employees' information and upload that into the platform, do some field mapping, and you'll have your employees in here. We'll select this target group, but we could select multiple target groups as well. Go ahead and click next. Jump to page. There we go. So now we're on our call settings page. We'll come in here and we're going to select the phone number that the end user will see. Right now in this demo account, I have a handful of US numbers, Canadian numbers, and I believe some UK numbers are in here as well. Yep. But so we've got a handful of numbers to choose from. We do have the ability to add up to 10 phone numbers a month for any individual clients. So if you've exhausted all of these options that we have to offer, or let's say you have employee engagements in other countries, just let us know. If you choose to implement this solution, we are able to add those phone numbers, and we have a pretty wide range of where we're able to utilize this product. For our distribution settings, we're going to choose how often we want to send these calls out. We can have calls just go out for the week. We can have them go out for the next 3 weeks. It's entirely up to your use case. This is all completely customizable. With that as well, we can come in here, and if for some reason you cannot simulate people on Mondays and Fridays, we can come and deselect those days. So this campaign will only roll out Tuesday through Thursday. Now, in the case like today that we're talking on a Thursday, and we don't want this to go out today, but we want to launch this campaign, we can go ahead and select the other days we want to launch this out to, and this campaign will stay in idle until the following day when it'll launch at 9 a.m., in my case, Pacific time. This is all changeable as well. We can come in here and select any time range between 9 to 5. Which is helpful as well if you need to run any sort of smaller finite test. Some of you may already have data on how often your employees are interacting with these phishing simulations, so you might want to finite your campaigns to the time of day that your employees are typically most phished. So we can do that all here as well. Once this looks good, going to reselect that day. Click Next. And on our summary page, this is basically just going over everything that we just discussed, the name of the campaign, the language or the voice that this template is in, the number of target users, the phone number that we're utilizing that the end user will see, and when this campaign is starting. We can come down here and we can preview our template one final time to make sure it's the template that we'd like to launch. And if everything looks good, go ahead and click Launch. And that's everything. We've successfully launched our Vishing campaign. I'd like to think that this is a pretty seamless process to launch one of these campaigns, but I look forward to reading your comments after the webinar. If we want to view an individual campaign report, right now this is still running, so we're not going to see any data, but we could come in here under Actions and click View Report. And as I was saying earlier, these are the metrics we're keeping track of. We're looking for users that have answered the call, users that were successfully vished by completing that vishing step, and then obviously users that haven't responded. We could see a breakdown of specifically who answered the phone and who was successfully vished and who hasn't responded up here. With that, we don't have any data in here right now because I just launched this campaign, but we can see this information here: first name, last name, the phone number, any department information, the date that the call will take place, and then finally, on our other menus, we'll be able to see how long the end user interacted with the call in the duration of seconds. So did the end user interact with the call for more than 5 seconds, less than 5 seconds, up to a minute? Those are all things we'll be able to show you in this report here. With this as well, I'm sure some of you are wondering, well, what happens if the call doesn't go through? That's okay. We offer the option to resend this campaign, either with a calling error, and we'll be able to see, usually under the no response column, if the call didn't go through because of some sort of block or calling error. So we are able to resend this campaign this way. If we need to edit or change the phone number, we can come in here and pause the campaign and edit it and change that phone number if that's applicable for your use case. Final thing I want to jump into here is our holistic reports. We'll start from the dashboard and go down to Reports and click Advanced Reporting. And we have a large variety of reports that we could utilize, our most popular being our executive summary of social engineering campaigns. This encompasses all of our different social engineering types like vishing, smishing, quishing, and phishing. The report that I'm going to show you today, since we were discussing vishing on the call, is going to be our vishing simulation activities. If we click View Report, we'll be able to see a holistic view on campaign interaction for our users. Now, as this populates, we'll be greeted with these filter settings. We could filter for any specific date range. We could filter for any target users, specific target groups like finance, HR, IT. And then we can come down here and filter by any specific campaign method. We can also filter by any specific campaign that we've launched. And if we're an MSSP or reseller, we could filter by any company underneath our tenant space. And these filters work together as well. So if we, let's say in an MSSP situation, we were filtering for a specific company, for a specific department, for a specific date range, we could set all of these filters together to get that finite target data. First thing we'll see as well is this graph that's just a summary of the campaigns that we've launched. A brief glance, we could tell who's been vished and who just answered the call. And then we could see top riskiest users by submitted information. So who was successfully vished on that call. And then we could see a leaderboard as well based just on the answer call as well. And this will be organized by how long the end user interacted with the call, so the duration of the call. We can see campaign behavior as well, total users this was launched to, users that answered the call, and users that were successfully vished. And we have department statistics as well for the same information that I just covered. And finally, we can see user activity based off of the different campaigns we're launching. This is just a helpful graph that you'll be able to reference to see users that have answered the call and users have been phished and the total users called. We'll jump back into our Vishing simulator here. The next thing I wanted to discuss was creating templates. Creating templates is very seamless. As I said, we use the AI voice technology with text-to-speech to create your own templates, so it's a very seamless process. We'll come up in here, click New. We'll create our template. We can add a description or any tags to help search and associate this template if we'd like. We'll assess our own difficulty. And then if you're an MSSP or a reseller company, we can also make this template available for any of our child companies underneath our tenant account. Just as an example here. So right now I'm underneath Acme Products, but we can select any of these companies to share this template with. Now we're in our dialog settings. This is easily my favorite part of creating one of these templates. We'll select the language that this template will be in. And we'll select the AI voice that we'd like to utilize. A common question that I usually get with this is, can we preview the AI voices? And the answer is yes, we definitely can do that. Once you create your text-to-speech step here, perfect. So entered in that text here. We'll go ahead and let's grab Tony. And we'll click play text.
Please press 1 to hear more details.
Perfect. So we can preview those AI voices here. With this as well, to help kind of broaden your ability to leverage these campaigns, we offer these merge tags as well for you to pull in. So in this case here, we could come in, write hello, first name, and then the rest of our text. This is going to directly reference your target user information. So your employees' information that you have added into the platform will automatically populate here with the relative fields in these merge tags. So we could pull in the full name, first or last name. We could pull in your company name, the date that this campaign is sent, and then we also have a handful of other merge tags available as well. And we've seen our clients get pretty clever and creative with this. We've seen some urgency created with this current create date. This random digit count is really good for auto-generating like last 3 digits to account numbers and so forth. An example of that would be to type out the account number here and then add this merge tag at the end to generate those last few details. Now, with this, we've defined our criteria here. We'll go ahead and press 1 to hear more details. And with that, we'll enter the number of digits for the end user to enter, and then we'll add our next step. Now, I might have seen here real quick that I've talked a lot about the AI and text-to-speech capability, but we also give you the ability to upload your own MP3 file recording. So if you want to use your own voice to narrate these steps to guide the end user to entering the correct number of digits, you could do so as well by uploading an MP3 file here. And then we talked about that highlighted Vish step. If we want to ask for sensitive data, let's say 16-digit credit card number. We'll just define that right here. And then since this is sensitive information, we'll highlight that as our Vish step. Now we can add up to 5 steps total per campaign. If the end user doesn't enter the correct number of digits, we can have this invalid dialing notice play as well, and this is all customizable as well with the same merge tags. And with that, we can also do an MP3 file upload if you wanted to narrate that as well. Once your template looks good and you've previewed everything you wanted to preview, we'll go ahead and click Save. You can see that template's been created, and now it's available in our library to utilize and launch. Perfect. This covers everything that I wanted to cover, with obviously the exception of our little internet issue with the advanced reporting. I'll follow up with you all shortly with a recording on that via email, and I look forward to reading your questions and comments after the webinar and responding to those promptly. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar series.